Hi guys, I'm Rotary Swing Instructor Clay Ballard, and this week's winner is Adam Scott. Adam Scott played really well this last week, and one thing that Adam Scott does very, very well that contributes to his amazing ball striking is he has tons of compression. And this is a widely misunderstood concept in the golf swing. There's a lot of things that are floating around there that just aren't true and that will not help you get more compression. We're going to go over the things that will help you get more compression and start to get you to hit the ball really, really pure. So this is a really fun part of the swing to work on. I'm really excited to share with you guys how to properly compress a golf ball. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's take a look at Adam Scott's swing here. From the best I can tell, this is probably maybe a pitching wedge or a 9-iron. And we're going to look at his fantastic swing. As I've gone over before, Adam really has a textbook swing, probably one of the most similar swings to RST, the RST model that you're going to find. Really, really fantastic fundamentals. Let's focus in on just on impact and how you can create compression. So one thing you're going to notice here is at impact, his left leg here, his body is stacked up over his left leg. He's got a great stack position where his left ankle, his left hip socket, and his left shoulder are all stacked on top of each other. That's a great position to be in so that you can really get a lot of compression. You're also going to notice he's got some forward shaft lean here, and then he's going to be hitting down and through this ball. One thing I do want you to notice is that as he hits this golf shot, there's not a huge divot. So we can see here this little roughed up area. There's probably about a dollar bill size roughed up section in front of this ball, but he's not kicking up a huge divot here. He's roughing up the ground, but he's not taking a divot that you could bury a squirrel in. It's not that big. We're going to go over how you can do this, how that's going to create a lot of compression, and how you can start to hit the ball better and better once you just understand what we should be trying to do. Alright, so when we're talking about compression, there's really only two different angles that we need to know. The first is the angle of attack. That's the angle that we're coming down into the ball with the club at impact. And the second is loft. And I'm going to talk about the relationship between these two and how you can optimize this to get the most compression. So in the first example I'm going to give here, I'm going to have a fairly poorly compressed shot. So let's imagine I'm going to hit my pitching wedge here. I'm going to come down into this ball at a -10 angle of attack. So my club's going to be coming down into the ball at -10 degrees, and that's going to be represented by this bottom stick here. Now let's also imagine that the loft of this club is going to be the natural loft. So I'm actually going to let that club shaft be perfectly vertical at impact here, and my pitching wedge is about 47 degrees aloft. So I got a -10 attack angle and a +47 angle with loft. So that would make a wedge that looks something like this: -10 attack, +47 loft. Now this angle, and the difference between these two angles, this degrees here, would be 57 degrees, and that would be your spin loft. And this is going to control compression. The bigger the spin loft, so the greater the separation between these two angles, the less compression you're going to get. So imagine I'm going to hit a lob wedge here for a second, and this face is going to be wide open. It's going to be pointed up toward the sky, and this is going to be sliding directly under the ball. I'm going to have a lot of spin loft. I'm going to have about 80 degrees aloft and a fairly flat angle of attack, and now I'm not going to get very much compression. That ball is going to slide right up the face. With a driver, on the other hand, I'm going to also have a very level angle of attack, but the loft is going to be much less, and I'm going to get a lot more compression. So the closer this angle is together, the more compression I'm going to get. The farther this angle is apart, the less compression I'm going to get. So what's the number one kind of misconception out there with getting compression is I'm going to hit down on it. Well, let's take the same example we had earlier where I had +47 and -10. Well, now I'm going to try to hit down on it and watch what happens. Well, I'm moving this entire wedge down. Now I'm going to take -15 angle of attack, and this is going to drop it down to 42 loft. So the whole thing's moving down, but this angle isn't getting any closer together. So I'm not getting any more compression. So the farther I hit down, yeah, I can go farther and farther and farther. The ball is going to go lower, but it's not any more compressed. So what we need to do, and what the professional golfers do, is they have a fairly shallow angle of attack, and then they de-loft the club. So instead of -10, the PGA Tour average for attack angle on a pitching wedge is actually -5. So it's fairly shallow. You're going to look for about a dollar bill size divot. So if you're taking a swing with an iron, you're looking for about a dollar bill size divot. depending on the conditions. If it's wet, it's going to be a little bigger, or dry, a little bit smaller, but that's a pretty good rule of thumb. -5 for a pitching wedge. When we go to a driver, it's only going to be -1. So all of the clubs are going to be fairly shallow and gradually get shallower and shallower the longer the club. So now we're -5, and now we're going to de-loft this club by getting some more forward shaft lean. So here, instead of having this club vertical and our shaft straight up and down at impact, now we're going to get a little bit more forward shaft lean, and with the pitching wedge it can be quite a bit. We're going to go all the way from 47 degrees of natural loft, we're going to take it down to about 37 degrees. So now we're going from 47 to 37, we're going from -10 to -5, and now this angle is getting quite a bit closer together. So it was a big angle, now it's going to be a smaller angle, and we're going to get more compression. That's what PGA Tour players do. So they get distance by de-lofting the club, taking loft off there, and they're also coming in with a nice shallow angle of attack so they can get tons of compression. That's exactly what Adam Scott's doing in this video. Alright, so now that we've seen how compression works, let's take another look at Adam Scott's swing through impact, and let's see how this club's working as he's coming through impact. So let's go ahead and pause just before impact here, and let's measure the forward shaft lean of this club. Again, I think this is a pitching wedge he's hitting here, and we're going to see just before impact he's got 15 degrees of forward shaft lean. Now just after impact he has, so the ball's already left the face there just barely, he's got about 8 degrees of forward shaft lean. So that means if we had to do our best guess, he's probably got about 11.5 degrees of forward shaft lean at impact. And we know that he's hitting down and through, because if we look just after impact here, see how this ground gets roughed up and you see a little dark patch there. So that means he's hitting down and through this shot. So I'm not saying that he should pick this ball clean. We definitely want to be hitting down and through, but the more you hit down and through doesn't necessarily mean the more compression you're going to get. So here he's hitting down and through, probably pretty close to 4 or 5 degrees negative angle of attack, just like we want to see with an average pitching wedge and the PGA Tour average. And he has about 11 or 11.5 degrees of forward shaft lean impact, so he's getting tons of compression. He's pretty much maximizing his compression on this shot, and that's something that you guys can do too once you learn how to make the proper movements. So if you're joining us on YouTube, I want you to take this opportunity to click the link in the bottom right hand side of your screen. That's going to take you to the 5 minutes to the perfect release, where we show you how to de-loft that club head, come in with a nice shallow angle of attack, and start compressing that golf ball just like Adam Scott. And the best part, it's absolutely free. So go ahead and click this link, sign up for your free membership, and we'll see you soon. Now it's time to take action. Don't let another year pass and still be frustrated with your golf game. This is your year to beat all of your friends. Go to the description below and click the link to sign up for your free membership. It will never cost you a dime, and you'll receive over 2.5 hours of detailed, eye-opening video lessons. Plus, you will be able to see the remainder of this video, only available if you click the link on this particular video. Be the first of your friends to join our 40,000 plus free members. We look forward to having you on our team.